Okay, everyone, can I have your attention? Good afternoon, everyone. It's not for here, I guess it's just for the camera. So, hi, Hanford and Tulare. Okay, welcome, everybody. I am so excited that we have such a great turnout for yet another accreditation workshop. And the purpose of this was really trying to get down to the basics, because I know a lot of you might have not been able to get to the forums, and you still have questions about really accreditation. That's a big word. What is that? So we plan to put this on for you that we could answer any questions you might still have. And we're just going to really get down to the basics. That's why we called it Accreditation 101. And we're going to have some fun with it today. We've got some prizes and some interactive activities. So and make sure everybody has signed in, please, and you all have a raffle ticket. Okay? So the very first thing that we're going to do, guess what?
Cookies.
No cookies. December 5th, Ray. A test. Wouldn't you know, you all come over here right after a great lunch, and now you have to have a test. So we're going to give you about 10 minutes, and I'm going to give you one hint about the quiz that's being passed out. You will find all the answers in the COS 2.0 book that you should all have a copy of. Okay? So we're going to give you about 10 minutes. See if you can answer the questions. We have pencils for you if you need a pencil. This is a way that we thought would be easy for you to get acquainted with some of the things that go on with accreditation. I don't have a very loud voice. I hope everybody in here can hear me. I'm sure Hanford and Tulare can, but I don't know about everybody in here. Raise your hand if you need a pencil. We do have pencils if you need a pencil. Renee, up here, pencils. Raise your hand if you don't have a 2.0 booklet. Is there
any extras in the back, Jennifer, of the quizzes?
Are there any extra quizzes?
They can share.
I may not have enough copies.
You guys are a team now. You can have mine.
Do you have more quizzes up here?
I guess not. Do you want to run over and make about 20 more copies of this? Because I'm not going to have enough here if I don't have enough quizzes. Some of the stuff on your quiz, hopefully you might already know, but the rest of it you'll find in the COS 2.0 booklet, and then we're going to talk about that. That's okay.
And put it right here.
Just enough.
I thought I... Absolutely.
Hey, wait, is this open book? Is this open book? Gloriana. We got you guys right here.
Hey, that's right. If you find an answer, share it with those around you. See if we can get through the quiz. Yes, they're all.
Like church. There's 3 more raffles for today's session.
Oh, I bet you
We didn't have the quiz for Hanford. And I don't have a handout for the Hanford. Shelley, we didn't send the quiz to Hanford, huh? I know Kristen's having a fit. Yeah. Yes, we are, and my handout didn't go to Hanford either.
Can we email them? It's too late.
Is this on your email?
I can email this.
I don't have it in an email unless I
Not
split
that,
and
but I
scan
can
it.
email the
quiz.
answer sheet with the questions and all the answers on it.
Right here? Want to do it real quick?
Can you scan it in and do it?
I'm going to have Tanya come over here and do it. I'm going to get on your email.
So should
Sign in on your email and do that. Send it to her. Do you have it on your email or you have it at your computer?
I have it on my computer. I could run over and do it. I'll just finish it up.
You want to do that?
I'll go over. Do you want me to run over and
Do what?
email it?
Email it.
Email the quiz to Kristen.
To Kristen and Larry?
Yeah. We're telling them.
Should I make it?
Yeah. Well, Larry's not doing it, just Kristen. So
Right,
tell
see.
Kristen that we're emailing it right now.
Say, Hanford, we're emailing you the quiz to Kristen's email right now.
I just wanted to let Hanford know that I'm going to go email the quiz over to Kristen right now so you'll have it. Okay.
Scan that handout. Oh, wait, that's the one-sided one. Oh, no, it was just, thank you, Shelley, sorry. Okay, and we can help if anyone needs help. We have the answer sheet. You won't get suspended. Cheating is good. Cheating's okay. Sharing, group effort.
Sharing. Cheating. And tell her I'm going to fill out raffle tickets for everyone who's in Hanford to send me the names. I'm going to put them in the drawing here. That will also help us know if they have 2 or 20.
She says nope, no Hanford. What? What is she saying? Nope, no Hanford.
Maybe because Shelley said we're going to email you the quiz.
Okay, so maybe there isn't anyone
Maybe
watching
we
from
don't have
Hanford.
anybody somewhere. Yeah. Ask her, do we need to put anybody's names on tickets?
I'm texting her back. You guys can be loud and talk about it. Everyone's so quiet doing their own study work. Huh? Did you get those? Give those raffle tickets to Renee? I just called Larry. Let's not worry about it. But Hanford's not doing it. She's saying she just called Larry. I'm gonna call her.
How's everybody doing? You have everything answered? Well, we're going to get going. We're going to start talking about these very briefly. We won't go through every one of them, but we'll go through a couple of them and see how you did. And the idea of this is two things. One, to get you familiar with where to find answers to some of your questions, but also to have you be able to walk away with kind of a cheat sheet. And now I'm going to tell you that I have another handout for you that's going to come here shortly, and it has all the answers on it. I'm bad, aren't I bad? But now you have an idea of where you can go to find some of the information. So tell me, well, what is COS 2.0? What is that? We hear it all the time. We have buttons, comes out all the time in emails. What is COS 2.0? Pardon? Upgrade. There you go. Just like we upgrade our computers, right? Or upgrade our phones. It's an upgrade, okay? And it represents a new culture for our college here at COS, okay? What's the foundation for all planning processes? Our mission statement, absolutely. Okay, let's pick out a couple more. Who can tell me what, raise your hand if you know the answer to this. What are the 3 governance groups at COS? Donna.
District government, Senate, academic Senate, student Senate.
Absolutely. Okay, very good. Governance groups are those whose authority is derived from law and regulation, either as written expressly in the law regulation or as delegated by another group that possesses said authority. And those are the 3 that we have here on campus. The CS district goals are the foundation for what plan? The strategic plan. Who said that? Absolutely. Good job. Okay. Now, let me see. You should all get this one right because I know you all submitted this one correctly on the 19 days of accreditation. What is the center of the integrated planning model which contributes to all steps, Beverly? See, you're all right. Okay. We're not going to take up a lot more time with the questions on here. I see a lot of papers. You guys did good. You have them mostly all filled out. Awesome. But we are going to pass out another handout. It does have the answers on it for you to the questions in case some of them you hadn't found yet. But it also has some more questions on there with more detailed information about accreditation. So you really do have kind of a cheat sheet to walk away with. And we have emailed all of this to Hanford. So Hanford, you will have this as well. So now I am going to take this and I'm turning it over to Jennifer.
I'll use this one. Is that good, Terry? Okay, hi everybody. Thanks for being here. And so now the last half hour, Stan and I are going to talk to you a little bit more about accreditation. And feel free to ask any questions or at any time. But I'm going to have Stan start, and then unfortunately, or excitingly enough, we have more quizzes for you. But Stan's going to go ahead and start about the first part. Which we didn't send. We didn't send those quizzes. They don't have to have a paper.
I'm going to work off this for a minute. Okay, you guys, first of all, from me, on behalf of the president and senior management, we just want to make sure we say an extra special thank you for you all taking the time to be here today and spending an extra hour learning a little bit more about accreditation. I know that the booklet seems a little cumbersome because there's a lot of technical language in here, but one of the things that I want you to know is that this is the tiny little version of what's a 338-page show cause document. So this is one of the best, if you do nothing else after you leave today, this is one of the best little documents and these handouts to take back to your workstation. If you have a little file folder that says accreditation or a drawer that you can put them in where you want to keep the things related to accreditation, this is one of the good ones because it is pretty succinct and it does show you really simply what we're trying to do differently. And what I want to do first, I think, is draw your attention to page number 4. And hopefully, somewhere on campus, if you've been in one of our meeting rooms, if for any reason you come up to the front and you've gone into conference room 1 or any of the lecture rooms where we meet or we do training or staff development, you now see posters that we have on campus with this diagram on it. And one of the things that we were required to do as a part of this accreditation is we were required to design a very simple but effective plan for planning. How do you as an organization take your mission, turn it into goals and objectives, measure those goals and objectives, and then take a look at the results of those measurements, make any adjustments that you might need to make, and then start the process over again. And there's a story that Jennifer likes to tell. A little over a year ago, she brought together, I think it was the Institutional Planning and Effectiveness Committee, the Executive Board of the Academic Senate, the Institutional Program Review Committee, and this group of staff all got together and they said, you know, we have to figure out the question accreditation is asking us about how we do our planning. So let's all brainstorm right now and let's start writing on the whiteboard what we think our planning steps are. And so everybody in the room started sharing what they knew, and they started drawing boxes, and they connected lines. So Academic Senate does this, and then they send it to Curriculum Council. And Curriculum Council looks at it, and then it goes to this committee. And this committee takes it out to its constituents, and then it comes back. And then from that committee, it goes to the President's Cabinet. And then from the Cabinet, it goes to President Obama. And then from Obama, you follow me? So by the time they were done, they had this big spider web on the wall. And somebody, I don't know if it was Christian Anderson or someone said, hey, probably Cindy Delane, we need to write that down and actually capture that image. And so we have a PowerPoint slide in one of our presentations that shows all these 34 boxes with arrows going different ways, like we drew the back of a transistor radio, when really it was at that time what we thought our planning process was. And so what happened during that period of time is we didn't do anything wrong. I think we developed committees when we needed committees. We had our standing organizations like the Academic Senate and the former College Council. But as new programs came, as new requirements came, we didn't incorporate them into the existing system. We added additional pieces on. We said, oh, we need a committee for student success. Oh, we need a committee for achieving the dream. Oh, we need a committee for categorical programs. And all of a sudden, it was like a Christmas tree with more and more ornaments on it. And when the visiting team came, the accreditation team came to talk to us, they asked individual representatives across the campus, and they may have had the opportunity to ask some of you, how do you make your decisions? And we were all telling them the way we thought it happened. And in their mind, when they went back to the room, they had a picture of that big spider web that we drew on the board, because that's exactly how we were doing it. So even though this looks very simple, a ton of work went into making it as simple as it is. So what I want to just point out to you is, how does it relate to us now as classified employees? How do I fit in this cycle? Well, first of all, up here at the top, we've got the college's mission statement. The mission statement is that big, broad statement. You see it on our website. It's 3 simple paragraphs. We try to keep it very succinct, but it's the overarching vision for the college. We're here for 3 main reasons. We're here for transfer education because we want to send kids on to 4-year college and university. We're here for career technical education development to get people certified and ready for the workforce. And we're here for basic skill development, bringing people into our community, into our college, and helping them advance themselves in their natural lives. Okay? If those are our 3 biggies, then everything else that we're doing in here should start with those big ideas in mind. Then you go to that master plan. That master plan is a 10-year plan for the college. It talks about what we want to do in the future for student performance. It talks about what we want to do in the future for facilities, what we want to do in the future for program growth. But you can't just measure yourselves every 10 years, so beneath that we have the strategic plan. And the strategic plan is that short-term plan, 3-year cycle now for us. We're on a 3-year cycle for our strategic plan. And in that strategic plan, we're going to identify specific objectives that the college will measure every year. And last year we took our old strategic plan, the one that was designed in 2005 to be a 10-year plan. Off of that master plan, we developed a strategic plan. It had 20 goals and 134 measurable objectives. Too much, right? Too big. Nobody can measure 134 of anything effectively. It kind of matched that spider web of decision making. Everybody in every one of those boxes had at least one goal, and we put them all in our plan. So what it is now, we went through a process last year to take those 134 objectives and get them down to 8 district objectives. So now if you go to our website, our board has adopted 8 specific objectives we're working toward this year as a group, as a whole college. okay? And we're going to measure those 8 objectives through this cycle. This is the annual cycle now. Strategic plan has the objectives in it. Our programs, whether we're from a service area or an academic department, we do our annual program review. We implement our resources. We align them with our actions, our plan. We measure that plan. And at the end of the year, we report it out. This is the piece that was missing. We didn't have an annual college report. Now we will. It'll be out by May of next year. And in that annual report, we'll be sharing how we did on those 8 district objectives. And then we'll be adjusting to do the cycle over again. It's called the cycle of continuous improvement or quality improvement cycle. And it's pretty simple, but it requires our constant work in order to be able to do it successfully. Because we couldn't explain this clearly when the accrediting team came, that's one of the reasons that we got our show cause order. Because remember, you guys, we're a publicly funded institution. We're all proud and excited that we work for a college, but colleges are paid for with taxpayers' dollars. So if the taxpayer is going to be paying our salary, do we want to show them that this is our plan? Or do we want to show them that spiderweb is our plan? You know, because we're all the first to criticize the federal government, right? We can't get anything done up there. Well, we don't want to be our small version of that here in the area. We want to show people that we can be effective. So that's why we came up with the simple integrated planning model. This would be one thing that I think is important for all of you to know, because in your service area, you will in one way or another be connected to going through program review. And when your department goes through its program review, you're going to be asked right there where it says institutional program review to express the actions that you're going to be doing that year that helps your department meet the college's overall strategic plan goals. So it's kind of lining everything up to move us all in the same direction. Okay? And then the last thing I want to touch on really quickly is the centerfold. It's not a picture of Aaron Rodgers or Colin Kaepernick, but...
Stand.
Okay, great. Jennifer has it up here. It is our decision-making process, and that's the other thing that goes hand in hand with planning, right? You can have a great planning cycle, but who's deciding anything? Who's doing what? So what I wanted to make sure you knew, and if anybody were to ever ask you, accreditors or anyone else, or just in your department, how do we get things done here? How do we make decisions? At least now, you can see the graphic. You can see the flow chart. And again, when we started this process a year ago, how many boxes do you think were on here? 45. 45 different committees and stuff that we had, okay? You can see now it's very streamlined. And we went to the law. The first thing we went to is, what's the California Education Code say? What are we supposed to be doing? Right up there across the center, district governance, academic senate, and student senate. Those 3 senates are the only entities actually called out in the education code that have legal authority to make recommendations to the president and to the board. In our old model, when we had 45 boxes down here, there were all kinds of arrows going around in different directions. They weren't traveling through the right channels. So now we have 4 committees under the District Governance Senate, and you as classified staff have representatives on that District Governance Senate. You should know that, because at that Senate, we meet every 2 weeks. They're talking about policy decisions in the college. They're talking about prioritizing resources, how funds are going to be allocated. They're talking about decisions on programs. And your classified colleagues are sitting there representing you as a whole. And that's the reason they're there, because we need a classified employee's perspective. We can't just look at all of the decisions from the eyes of the president or from the eyes of a faculty member. We have to look at them from the eyes of a custodian or the eyes of a clerical support person. You're the glue that holds the infrastructure together. Without the classified employee support, all of us bigwigs fall apart. We get that, okay? So in that governance senate, your representatives are there, and we're looking at the 4 big things that happen: budget, program review, which are all of our performances, planning, and technology. And those 4 committees now make recommendations to the Governance Senate, and the Governance Senate makes recommendations to the Board of Trustees through my office. Academic Senate, you can see faculty gets to work, according to the law, faculty gets to work on the academic stuff. That's the right stuff for them to be working on. The operational stuff over here, that involves all of us. And that involves you. And I think your representatives, your supervisors, will tell you, at least since the 14 months that I've been here, is that every time we're at the table, I'm working hard to bring out the classified perspective. I don't want that to be overlooked or forgotten. Because again, that infrastructure that you provide for us is too important. Okay? So we have our say right in here. Faculty has control here, and students get the opportunity. That inter-club committee structure is described in the law. And what it says is if we're doing something about courses or grading or certificates or curriculum or instruction, anything that affects the classroom, students get a say in. And so now we're building a student senate with officers who also sit on that governance senate. You can see there's students represented right there. Those 2 students are in there casting their votes every 2 weeks, right alongside your colleagues as classified employees and the 2 faculty members that are in there. Okay? So that governance senate is an important group for all of us. And this process now does not include 45 committees. It's pretty straightforward. Outside of this, we have our regular councils that meet because of what our job titles are. Like when all the deans get together and meet every 2 weeks, that's called the Dean's Council. They're not a special committee. They don't have superpowers. They just meet every 2 weeks because there's stuff that has to do with the dean's job description that they have to get done. And we cover it that way. Senior management is the same. Management council, there's a safety council. So there's councils in addition to this structure right here. And then if we just need something done that's short term, we have to study an issue, come up with a plan, propose it to Governance Senate, we can put together a task force. And a task force, oftentimes, we will recruit you to help us with that because it's going to be about a service area more than it's going to be about an academic area. So if we're trying to get better in student services, if we're trying to improve systems in facilities, maintenance, and operations, we're not going to bring in faculty to do that. We're going to bring in a task force of people from the department to help us do that. Okay? So this is the decision-making structure, and the page 4 is the planning structure. If you take nothing else away from today, know that in this booklet, those 2 structures, the centerfold and the planning, are 2 of the biggest pieces that we put in place to make sure that we stay accredited as a college. Now I'm gonna skip the activity that we were gonna do because we were gonna lay another quiz on you. But just for fun, I was gonna show you what it is. I was gonna tell everybody to turn their papers over and put their books away, and then see if you could fill this out.
It's up there.
Okay? So we don't want to do that to you on a Friday. But you know now the yeah, you got it. You know the importance of this. Every once in a while, just take a peek. Remember how we operate so that you know who to go to and who to work with in terms of trying to get your voice heard and be a part of our decision-making process. Okay, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Lacerna, who's going to tell us a little more specifically how service area outcomes work.
Okay, so just a question. Does anybody know who their 4 I was going to ask you how many representatives you have on District Governance Senate. 4. Does anyone know who any of them are? Who are they? Yell a name out. Shelley. Steve? Shelley? Joanne? Donna. Yeah, so you have two of them are in here. So, and one of their responsibilities, I'm going to show you quick, we have these principles of participatory governance. So they're responsible to do all these things for you guys. So they're supposed to be getting the word. They have to show up. They have to participate. They have to vote based on what you want. And then they're supposed to get the word back to you about what's happening in the Senate. So you guys hold them responsible for that. And I know you guys have really good representatives because they've done a great job representing you this semester. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today is the whole dialogue day. You guys have been seeing all those emails. We just had a forum on it. So what is this all about? The dialogue day is about a chance for us all to get together and talk about outcomes and assessment. And so I know you say, well, but I don't teach. Well, some of us do. But if I'm not a teacher, then how does that work in my daily life? Well, for teaching, it's student learning outcomes, and it's program level outcomes, and it's institutional outcomes. So how are our students learning, and how do we make change based on what we see where they're excelling or maybe they're not excelling? For administrative units, so our facilities, technology, our financial units, and our student services units like CalWorks and EOPS and financial aid, we have something called a service area outcome. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what that is, but really it is a way to measure how the work we do is helping our students succeed. And that's what it is. And so one of the things that I do want to say is it's not anything new in your jobs. You guys, as a classified staff member, it's not a new part of your job. It's not something you have to create, something you have to develop, but it is something that you need to know about and understand what are the outcomes expected in my unit. And every day as we're working on it, as I'm doing my daily job, how does that fit into my work? How does it fit in what I do? It's not changing your job description, but it's making you focus on what is it that's expected from my unit, and how can what I do on a daily basis help that? Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions? Okay. And when we look at the outcomes, it's how do I every day help the district meet that outcome? And all of those outcomes, if you go back to the planning model, all of those, again, the service area outcomes, they come from the strategic plan. So they're based on the mission. The service area outcomes, we look at the mission, we look at the strategic plan, we look at our program reviews, then we look at our resource allocation, and then we implement the plan. The same for service area outcomes. We assess them, and then we do an annual report on them. So that's what the service area outcomes are, okay? So what I want to do is give you a sample of some. I picked on a couple departments here, and the first one I'm going to pick on are financial aid. So for financial aid, this is one of their service area outcomes. I know there's a lot of financial aid people in here. Who's here from financial aid? I'll see, I picked on a good group because there's a lot of you here. So one of their service area outcomes is to revise notifications to students on warning status and include the academic support resources available in order to reduce the number of disqualified financial aid students. Okay. So do you guys see why that might be an important service area for financial aid, is to reduce students who are disqualified on financial aid? What happens if a student's disqualified on financial aid? They drop out of school, right? So if they can stay and pay for school, then we're going to have better student success, right? And also they end up with big loans, and they have to pay things back, and then there, all kinds of other issues with it. So one of the things, the task associated with that is what financial aid said they're going to do is meet with the financial aid specialist and revise the notifications first, and then make sure that the wording has academic support services listed in the notifications. So what that means is now instead of the letter they used to send that says, oh, you're disqualified, or you're on warning, now it's going to include, here's where you can get support, and it's going to include all of the support services on campus. Because we find a lot of times when our students are in trouble, when they're having issues, when they're not going to class, or they're whatever's happening to cause them to be in trouble with financial aid, is because they don't know about all the support services we have. And half of them are in here. We have EOPS, we have CalWorks, we have the Veterans Office, we have the Welcome Center, we have the Counseling Office, we have the Tutoring Center, the Writing Center, and all of these things that a lot of our students don't know about. So what financial aid is saying they're going to do is ensure that students know about that when they're on warning, okay? And then the last thing, Stan talked about our district objectives, and we went from 134 district objectives to 8. And so 8 district objectives. And how does this relate to the district objective? Well, their district objective is to provide effective academic support services as measured by how our students successfully complete courses. So it makes sense, right? If students have their financial aid, if they get off warning, if they get the support services that they have, then, or they find out what the support services are on campus, then they're going to be more successful in their classes. So financial aid linked this to our first district objective. Okay? Everyone's looking up there? Questions? So here's what I want you guys to I want us to talk about this a little bit. So when you think about this, how is what they're doing up there impact us every day in our job in the bookstore, or our job as administrative assistants, or our job in admission and record? How can we help support what they're wanting to do, or how does that maybe affect us in our jobs? Does that make sense? Turn to the person next to you and see how you could help financial aid meet that objective in your daily job that you do. Okay, so take 30 seconds to come up with 2 ideas. With the person next to you, turn to the person next to you. Yeah, two more from Tulare. Yeah, she got the hamper one. I've got one more, and if we have time, we can make up technologists. They have to do their raffle too, so.
Yeah, we're gonna do the last one.
Technology one. I'll just do one more.
Yeah.
You got those 2? Okay. Yeah, we got Hanford and Tulare.
Forward those 2 so I can add them to the Sunny list?
Yes. Okay, I think that's... Oh, they got quiet really quick. I didn't have to, no one's raising their hand, but, okay, so someone give me one example of how what you do helps financial aid meet their objective, or meet their service area outcome. Anyone have an idea? Margaret?
I can tell them where to go to study the Mason Center so they can get good study help.
Right, helping them find the support services that they need. Good. Margaret said direct them to the Mesa Center for the Hanford and Tulare people. Okay. Actually, that would help if we had another microphone. Can we have this if people want to answer?
I can run up and have them speak in there.
Okay, another idea. Who has another one? That was perfect. Everyone's being quiet. Okay, Benita has one.
Sitting next to admissions here, they suggested that when students come in to ask about dropping, that they can refer them to our office to find out how that's going to affect their academic status for financial aid purposes.
Very good. Yeah, so that was good. Did you guys hear? Could you hear that in the back? Yes. So she said that they sit next to, she's sitting next to admissions, so one of the things that they said is that they can refer students to financial aid, so if they're considering dropping a class, that they can talk to them about how that will affect their financial aid. Okay, other ideas?
What we had said was similar to Margaret, and we could actually send them to the LRC because there's several different sources there for help.
And so sending students to the Learning Resource Center for support, that's a great way, exactly. Anybody else? What about you technology people? How can you guys help out? What do you guys do every day that helps this? You give them access. See, this is where you have to be creative, because every day technology is responsible for giving them access. They're not going to get the letter from financial aid unless they have the technology to do that, right? You guys also make sure everything's up and running, Beverly, right? What else? How do they even get information about financial aid if they don't have access to our website, right? So everything you guys are doing back there also helps. Do you guys see how it's all connected? Okay, we're going to talk about another one here. I picked on another group. This is an administrative unit. We're going to look at facilities, okay? And I love this one. I just shared it at the forum because I thought it was great, because how much do we want this? One of their objectives was to make sure everybody on campus knows how to adjust their thermostat so they're comfortable. And I don't know about you, but how many of you have called over there at least once to say it's too cold or hot, right? So I think I'm the first one that needs the one-on-one course that they're going to have. So what they've promised to do, and now we have to hold them accountable, right? What they promised to do is to provide training, provide a video, and provide support for us so we can learn how to adjust our temperature. And it's kind of hot in here right now. So that's one of their service area outcomes. And so they tied that also into District Objective 1 to help with student success. And it makes sense because if we are comfortable in our work sites, we're going to be more effective in the job that we do, and we're not going to be all, I'm freezing, and so I'm not going to be happy when I'm talking to the student because I'm too cold, right? And if students, and I had an example the other day, we had an angry parent come into our office because the teacher had canceled class because the air conditioning wasn't working. It was too hot. And this parent was so upset because her child had driven from a different city to get here, and the class got canceled. It was too hot. See, now, if the teacher knew, or if one of us knew how to adjust that or resolve that issue, then that wouldn't have happened, and it started a string of issues that ended up in my office, right? And so now this student is not going to be as successful because they missed an entire class because the teacher and whoever was around didn't know how to help and adjust that. Okay, does that make sense? So let's talk about this one really quick. We'll have another 30 seconds to talk about how you in your role can help with this service area outcome, or what in your daily life are you doing that helps with this service area outcome for facilities. Okay. There you go. Yeah, the bookstore selling sweatshirts. I like that. The bookstore selling sweatshirts for the cold ones. All right, 30 seconds. Talk to someone. Come up with a couple ideas. Okay. All right, let's hear a couple more innovative answers. Who's got an idea of how we help the facilities? Donna. Oh, Donna. That was great. I love it. Donna said that she pays the electrical bills because she works in our finance department. She pays the bill. What else do we have? What else can we do every day that is, part of our job that can help with this? Oh, okay, that was good. Learn where our thermostats are. There's one part of the president's office that I have no idea where it is. Right there.
Yeah.
And Mary has one.
I would think that the administrative support staff that have contact with teachers, if
great.
Yeah, if the teachers are having a problem in their classrooms or whatever, you could be the support that contacts facilities for them.
Exactly.
Make that communication.
That's great, Mary. So Mary was saying that as an administrative support person, she's that first point of contact with the teachers to let them know, either show them where it is or help them make the contact if something's not working. So that's great. I appreciate that. Helen has one back there. Sorry.
That tells you that you have a range of 4 degrees, to lower it or higher it. Something like that, just kind of just something above it.
Yeah. So Helen's making a suggestion for facilities to add to their tasks to put a sign that explains how to adjust the temperature right above it. That's a great idea. Okay. And I know our group in the back from facilities, you guys have a lot to do with this. Yes, you do. We love our facilities people.
I'm here for a little bit of I see the campus that we need more equipment, more sweepers to sweep our parking lots, sidewalks, fire lanes and stuff, especially now the gardeners are overwhelmed with all those leaves but we do need more equipment.
Yeah. Okay, so that was a little, I agree, we love our facilities people. And so that's a really good point. And there's a lot of things that we need across campus. And so the key with that response is that now that needs to be part of the facilities service area outcome. And so as you're talking with your supervisors and your managers, you need to let them know what are the things that you need to do your job better. And then they run back through, guess what they're going to run through? Let's get it back up. I won't give you guys the blank one. You're going to ask for that in your program review, right? And it's going to be related to an area outcome, and it contributes to student success, because if a student comes in and they have clean bathrooms, then they're going to be happier, they're going to be more successful. Our staff, when we have clean bathrooms, because we have enough facilities people and support to do that, we're happier when our bathrooms are clean. So it all contributes to student success. So that's a really good point. Okay, so we only had an hour with you guys, and I know both Stan and I could go on forever and ever and ever, but I know you also want your raffle prizes. In the last minute, before we get the prizes, for me or for Stan or for Shelley. Is there anything we can clear up? And the one thing I was going to say at the end is the important thing about the service area outcomes is that you know what they are. Know what they are for your unit. And if you go into TrackDat, you can see everybody's service area outcomes. So it's also helpful to know what other people are doing, and you can see how you can support them. But at least know what your areas are, okay? So that's your homework. Everyone's going to go home and back to their office, your office work. Go back and find out. If you don't know what they are, find out what the service area outcomes are for your unit, okay? All right. Anything you want to add? Yep. Oh, we have a question. Yeah.
Is there going to be limits as to like the high and low?
Oh,
right. So.
Speak in there.
Oh, I just wondered on that air conditioning and stuff. Is there going to have limits as to how high it can go and how low, or else there's going to be a free for all?
No, there are limits already.
Oh.
So if you could, so her question was, in our ability to control the temperature in the rooms, are there limits on the high and the low? Once I go through the tutorial and I know how to use the thermostat, can I just crank it up any way I want or crank it down any way I want? Yes.
I've heard there is a range.
Right.
But if you're uncomfortable and you go through the proper steps, whatever those things you can have your range shifted up or your range shifted down.
So Christine's responded, just for those who are listening outside of the media room, her response was there is a range. There's a limit of a couple degrees one way or another. But if you have a large room, I heard somebody over here talking about how when we have the testing lab full and there's 40 or 50 plus students in there, the range doesn't hold us well enough. You need to be able to call in, and there will be a process to go through, either periodically or on some regular basis. For a reason, you can request that be adjusted, and that can be considered. Okay? I guess the last thing I wanted to say before Shelley does the fun stuff, again, thank you guys so much, but also more importantly this, the reason we were excited, or I know Jennifer and I were excited about this particular workshop today, is just by the nature of the college and it being a college, we get a lot of time with faculty. We get a lot of time with instructors. And there's often this saying that, the only thing you really need to have a great educational setting is a teacher and the learners. And to a certain extent, we all understand that. We understand that the primary role that we have here is to serve and support our students, and that teachers on a regular basis are the ones in front of them in the learning environment. But I'm going to say this, the infrastructure, and by that I mean the support people and the non-instructional services that go on behind the scenes are essential to the success of the college. Because I can tell you, we live in the San Joaquin Valley, right? When it's 106 degrees for the 23rd consecutive day in September, and one of the air conditioners go out, ain't looking for the faculty member, right? They're not looking for the president. So all of a sudden, that support staff that we have, whether it's, as Jennifer said, the temperature in the room, the facilities in the building, the ability to work with our technology, look what happens in our world right now when our computers go down. Oh my God, it's like the world has stopped. I guess what do? We all go home? What did we do before we had our technology? So never feel like the work you do is not valued or not supported. It is 1,000% from this president, from this administration. And even though we do get a lot of time in front of teachers, I didn't want to miss the opportunity to make sure I said that today again with all of you, because it's those behind the scenes pieces that make the college successful. We need each other. There's no way around that. So we have 8 important goals that we're working on. We have a visiting team that's going to be coming back for an accreditation visit on November 13th and 14th. We have a fabulous show cause report that we've submitted, and we couldn't have done any of that without all of you. Okay, so I personally want to make sure I say thank you today for that. Now I'm going to turn it over to Shelley, and we're going to give out some stuff.
Oh, and by the way, for Hanford and Tulare, we put your names in, so someone from Hanford or Tulare might win.
Help. I also, on behalf of our PACE committee, I want to thank all of you. I hope that we shared some information today that you got a new insight on, and you learned and you feel more comfortable with accreditation and the process and the new COS 2.0. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule and joining us. And so, Jennifer,
Now,
you want to
for
draw?
For the new Mercedes.
Elise Garcia.
Yeah, I just want you guys to know, wait a minute, go ahead, Elise, pick your... I just want you to know how happy I am that the bobblehead has red hair. Right? Okay. I better not see my name on one of these.
Chris Hagstrup.
We'll take tickets to her. Who's that? Oh, we got to get your picture.
Okay, and we have one more. So the last lucky winner.
Keys to the new Lexus.
Yeah, that one was, that's Elise. That's Elise's, that was already in there.
Okay.
I can't read it. Oh, this one looks like it has...
Uriel Barrios.
Uriel.
Uriel.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us.
There's a new blower in here.
Okay, and just a really big thank you to Shelley for putting this together, and thanks to all of you for being here. So.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you, guys.